Should you invest in a company that has significant assets or revenues in a foreign country? After all, if you want to do sleuthing, how can you sleuth in a foreign country? Let me first give you my 3 rules for investing in a foreign country, either directly or indirectly. They are quite restrictive rules, but they are my rules. The first goes as follows. I should be able notionally to run down the main street of the capital of that country and shout that the president is a fool and not be molested by the local police. Secondly, I should be able to do the above, and if local citizens try to molest me, the police will protect me. Third, if the local government or any of its agencies stole one of my properties, I should be able to sue it in local court, and if my case is just, to be able to collect compensation or the property back. These 3 rules together constitute for me the rule of law, meaning that the police will protect the laws on the local law book, and property is sacrosanct. Property usually is a piece of paper that's saying that you own something. It's a piece of paper that has the magic that it will move a judge, who will move a bailiff, who will give you the property back or evict a squatter. Now, why do I tell you all this story? Because it involves a case of a sleuthing in a foreign country, this time Brazil. As you probably realize, my rules prevent me from investing in places like the old Soviet Union, or the new Soviet Union, also known as Russia, or China, where I wouldn't put a single penny, or a place like Cuba, or any of the countries in Africa that don't have the rule of law, although half of Africa does. And Brazil, even though it's quite a violent country sometimes, still has the rule of law. I have a number of friends there. At the time of this little case story, I was running a hedge fund, and at the time I still had a number of black hairs on my head. And during the summer, we used to bring interns. These are local MBA students that can learn the investment business, and this way you also give back to the community. Later on, I also mentored in that university, and during the summer, the story is concerned, we had one particular student who was very bright, and he came recommended by the professors of the program, and justly so, because within a few days in our office, he came to with an idea. There was a Canadian tech company that was making a very singular device. It was a radio device buried in the chassis of a car that kept transmitting at low level every half an hour or so. If the car was stolen, you could triangulate for the signal, which means see the direction of the signal. And if you do it from 2 or 3 directions, you can find the location of the car. Then you can call the police and they come and collect it for you. This company was rumored to be looking for a very large contract in Brazil, selling directly to one of the local Brazilian car companies. And Brazil is a very large country. And the car industry is about the 6th or 7th in the world. If the Canadian company is going to get the contract, the stock will double or triple, perhaps even more. How to find out? I told the student, go and sleuth. He showed initiative, called long distance a number of car dealers in Brazil, both in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Finally got somebody who spoke reasonable English, and he told him, yes, there are rumors that the Canadian company is going to get a contract with either Volkswagen do Brasil, the local VW franchisee, or one of the other car companies, and they're going to do it via a local car part distributor, owned by a local senator who has a very talented son, MBA from the other business school on the East Coast, not Stanford. So we try to ascertain whether the rumors are strong or not, but the car dealer knew nothing about it. I found some contact in Canadian insurance company that had a contact in the Brazilian insurance company, and he called them, but they didn't want to talk. Now, because I myself once worked for a Canadian conglomerate that had business in Brazil, I knew a little Portuguese, muito pouco, very little. But I called my old former Portuguese teacher in Brazil. She went back from Canada with her husband and 2 kids, and she said she knew some people in the local newspapers, in the business section. They always look for rumors from people who are professional investors, and they reciprocate by giving some local color. We called him, and I let my associate analyst talk, the young MBA student. And after a conversation of about like 5 or 10 minutes, the guy said he can't talk from the office, call him at home. We called him at home, and after an hour conversation, the following came up. In Brazil, at the time, perhaps also today, it was a crime-infested country, like several other countries. And the car theft business was very large. 1 out of every 3 or 4 cars were being stolen. So the insurance company was losing quite a bit of money because they had to pay for the car theft. The Canadian company was quite smart, so they were negotiating with the local insurance company to see if they're going to sponsor this sort of new installation because they're going to give a break on the insurance to a local driver. So we asked the local newspaperman, what do you think of it? He laughed and said, first of all, mafia in Brazil is very strong. At that time, there have been two large mafias. One was the urban mafia and one was the jail mafia. They had just merged and they took over almost all the illicit businesses, including the car theft business. Any company selling a device that will reduce the car theft is going to take money out of their pocket. Do you think they're going to pass on this quietly? The second point is that if you talk to a local driver who found where the car is located in the favela over there, in that shantytown, he's going to call the police and tell them, go bring me my car back. A poor policeman will never go risk life and limb to bring a car back for somebody who lives in one of the fancy towers. So in the opinion of the newspaperman, this business would never go, and the local distributor is just dragging time to get some more consulting fees out of the Canadian because he would never go into such a business. There's too many entrenched interests in it. So we thanked the newspaperman, said if you ever need anything about Canada, we are there to tell him. And can you hold off with the story for at least a week before we do something with it? As we hung up the phone, I looked the MBA student in the eye, said, what do you think? Do you still want to buy the stock? He said, heck no, I want to short it, which shows he had the making of a good sleuth. We shorted a few tens of thousands of shares. The stock weakened a little bit. We shorted some more, and then we waited. Within about 2 or 3 months, the stock went down to half its price. We closed the position. Now, why am I telling you this? Not just to show you that all my sleuthing came right. They certainly didn't. The 2 or 3 didn't, and I'm going to tell you about one of them later on. But to basically to give you the idea that if you want to do sleuthing in a foreign country, if you are ever contemplating to go long, which means to own a stock there, be sure that the 3 rules of law apply. The country is law-abiding. Can have some violence. No country is completely quiet. Even the US and Canada, although Canada much less, have some violence in them, but the rule of law applies. If there's no rule of law, don't own anything there. That's my advice. I know it's restrictive, but don't lose money is the first rule. The second rule is the fourth, after having a piece of information which is, as we said before, it is true, it is significant, it's exclusive, you have to make sure that there's no FOMO, no fear of missing out. If you have any doubt, don't do anything. And if you still have any doubt, just check with some locals. So if you want to do any sleuthing in a foreign country, make sure your source there is trustworthy. And the only way to get to there is to be referred by another trustworthy source who knows you are trustworthy. That's the story of the Canadian sleuthing of a Brazilian company, and it's something that anybody can do. But remember, if you have the slightest doubt, then don't do it. But the 1 time out of 5 or 6 that you will do it will pay for all the others. Next clip, we are going to tell you more about how you go in an orderly fashion to start sleuthing when you start from a very low level. On to the next clip.